Welcome to part 2 of the free 4-part series, The Gathering Inner Circle. Tonight, again, do want to go over our format for the program. Hang on, got another person coming in here. And this. Okay, there's Rini. Hello, Rini. Okay. Yeah, tonight's program, again, the format, Zoom, so a little on Zoom basics. We are going to have the chat room open throughout the entire meeting. So you can post any questions, concerns, talk to each other, all you want. Later on in the program, I will open up for question and answer. In the meantime, if you have a particular question or concern about anything we're talking about, go ahead and make a note of that in the chat room, and we will try to cycle back to that and address as many of those as we can. Okay, so let's see. I will have everybody muted until such time as we do get into that Q&A. Okay. And let's see. Oh, yes. If you missed anybody who's missed yesterday's presentation, running into a little bit of a glitch with YouTube and getting it uploaded, but it is in process. So I will have that hopefully tomorrow morning. I will send that out with the next newsletter and the link to tomorrow night's program. I'll also be posting all 4 videos when we're done. I'll be opening up the Inner Circle membership page, and all 4 of the videos will be available on that page as long as it's open. So, excuse me. Now, getting into tonight's program. Again, the whole idea of the Inner Circle, the Gathering Inner Circle, is to break through the fears and superstitions that so many of us are held back by, and that so that we can identify our own innate abilities and develop those to become stronger, more sensitive, and more intuitive individuals. So, Ryan D wrote to me and said, really valuable information from the programs, very insightful, practical, and tangible, packed full of great seeds of information that I think are helpful as guideposts. Well done. Thank you, Ryan. Now, tonight's program, do you ever find it difficult to talk to friends or family members, colleagues, associates about your innate abilities? That's what we're going to address. That's what we're going to talk about in tonight's program. How do we get around, talking to other people about it? Those who maybe have never experienced it or have heard of it and are shy away from or even fear anything intuitive, anything out of mainstream norm. So first of all, friends, families, neighbors, your boss, what are they going to think about you if they find out that you are a sensitive, intuitive person? Joe N writes that he says, your books have really been the start of my spiritual journey and learning. I want to thank you for that. I've been learning about and experiencing more of the spirit than I ever thought I would. I have given your book as gifts to several people, now 2 who have loved it and find it incredibly helpful as well. And short of having to, and I do encourage you, please give my books as gifts. Yes. Yeah, lots of them. In the meantime, short of having somebody sit down and read the books, how do we explain it? How do we identify ourselves, and without feeling that we're being uh, rejected or set upon or put upon, so that we really are, expressing who we really are. Of course, we all have heard the term "seeing is believing." Okay. Uh, does everybody really have to see? I'm going to back that up in a second here. Okay. Do they actually have to see something happen to believe it? I had a young woman who very, very skeptical, almost to the point of being cynical, but I think she was just on that edge. But is it really? Nah, this stuff isn't real. It can't be real. And well, if it's real, tell me something I need to know. So prove it to me. Show me. Well, my guides at that moment, when it said, well, unless there's a real need, they're not going to say anything to you. There's nothing here to say. You don't have a need. You have a want. You want to be, thrilled. You want an experience, but you don't really have a need to hear something. So, in that case, just kind of let it go. Sometimes, in some cases, things will happen that people, never even expected, never even thought of. I had a niece of mine was visiting in Ohio one time, and she mentioned that she had lost her keys somewhere. She couldn't find her house keys anywhere. Searched all over for them, but they weren't anywhere to be found. Well, I could tell right away, and I was being told that this was really bothering her. This is a need that she was really concerned about. So I got an image right away that there was like a little bookcase, one of these short, 2 or 3 shelf bookcases, and that she had put the keys on top of the bookcase, and somehow they got slid back and fell back behind the bookcase, between the bookcase and the wall. And so I told her that, and when she got back home, she immediately went and pulled the bookcase out, and there were the keys. So it was a situation of, yeah, here it is, uh, a a real need that she had for finding her house keys. This is an important thing. So um, a lot of times people won't believe it until they actually see it or experience it. So how are they going to understand what it is you're trying to tell them? Okay. As far as friends and family members, they probably already know that you're a little strange. Yeah, it was not a stretch for me to tell members of my family about what I was experiencing. Um, they knew they've known I've been weird for years, so it was never a big thing. Um, so yeah, I think in most cases, unless you have a family member who is very, very set in their ways, perhaps very religious, um, traditional religious beliefs, or what have you. In most cases, they are going to accept you and say, okay, fine, whatever. You've done weird things before, so you'll do weird things again, and we'll let that go. Uh, if you do have somebody who is very staunchly set in their ways, respect them. Say, yeah, okay, I understand that you're not comfortable with this, with what I do. So we'll just go on to something else. We'll let this go for now, and then gradually you can introduce little bits and pieces, things that may warm them up, may not. But know that you don't have to convince everybody. Okay, you can accept them on their terms as well. Okay, your neighbors. My experience has been that typically when a neighbor finds out, or, somebody in the community finds out that I'm a psychic medium, that yes, I talk to dead people. They're fascinated. They think it's really interesting. Just the other day, my wife and I were out looking at property, and happened to mention to the realtor that that I'm a psychic medium and my wife's an energy healer and practitioner. And she was, here, complete total stranger. At this point, we hadn't met before, and she was like, "Wow, that's great. You mean just like on TV, these people like Kim Russo and these others on TV, I really like, I get into that. That's kind of cool." And so actually struck up a great conversation. So if you find that they are absolutely adverse to anything paranormal, supernatural, psychic, what have you, change the subject. Talk about the weather. Talk about, if you really want to get into an argument, talk about the government. It's there's always something else, sports or anything, but just change the subject, bring it down, get it, relax, calm, and move away from it. Don't let yourself get into an argument over who you are and what you believe. Just have that faith in yourself and your own understanding enough that you can let them be who they want to be as well. Okay. So, another thing, what would your boss think? This is a biggie in so many businesses and what have you today. We see court battles of companies that have, where the owner of the company, or the boss, the president, CEO, whoever, has a very particular set of beliefs and expects everybody in the organization to share those beliefs. Well, unless your organization is called a church, that's kind of tough to do. If you have a company that's a public open offering company, by requiring everybody in the company to share your beliefs, you can open yourself up to a lot of problems, litigations, and issues that you really don't even want to get into. There is something called the First Amendment, which states that we have our freedom of religion, freedom to practice as we choose, whatever our beliefs may be, whether we call it a religion or a faith or a belief, we have the right to that. Okay. By the same token, we have the right to be free from other people's beliefs or stigma, superstitions, and what have you. So it can get very sticky when you get into a what will the boss think situation. When my last book came out, actually the first one in the Connection series, Journey to Understanding, I was teaching a digital media program in Winston-Salem and North Carolina, for those. And a book had just been published. And so I was using the process of publishing as part of my teaching curriculum. And here is what you do to get a manuscript into print, out into the public, and produce your media. I didn't get into the content of the book, just the process of producing the book. Well, sure enough, I got a call on the room phone, the house phone. Mr. Schoedel, would you come down to the office after your class? I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes. Yes, sir, Mr. Principal. Be happy to. So I go on down and go into the office, and Chris is sitting there and he says, so Frank, here you got a book out. I said, yep, sure do. Wow, that's exciting. What's it about? I said, oh, it's a collection of ghost stories. Pause. Dead silence. Ghost stories? Yeah, nonfiction. Another long pause. You mean like on TV, these ghost hunters and investigators and all that? I said, absolutely, exactly like that. I said, I've been working with paranormal investigators and psychologists, parapsychologists. I've been doing this stuff myself since I was a kid. And so I wrote a book about it. He goes, wow, that's really fascinating. Can we get a hardcover copy of your book and put it up in the library and have you sign it and we'll put it on display? Here again, this is Winston-Salem, God, North Carolina. And I'm thinking to myself, this is not what I expected the reaction to be in a public school, a Carolina public school. And I was floored. I thought, hey, this is awesome. So you never know what the reaction is going to be. We can plan for the worst and hope for the best. And one thing I was ready for when I was in college and my undergraduate, my minor was in pre-law. And I did quite a bit of work in legal services for the students and contractual law and even some constitutional law. And so I have a pretty fair background. I was ready for if it had come push to shove. If they had said, well, we feel that you should not be doing this kind of practice and be teaching in a Carolina public school, there would have been a discussion. There definitely would. I mean, I would not have hesitated to get in touch with the ACLU and say, look, I'm not part of an organized religion. However, my spirituality, my intuitive abilities, these are part of my spiritual beliefs and practice. Therefore, I have as much right to practice what I do as the teacher who delivers a sermon on the pulpit in a church on Sunday. So they can't make a distinction under the law. They cannot dismiss you or have any kind of disciplinary action against you for your spiritual beliefs. So one thing I would always caution, here again, are they allowed to make those kind of assessments or evaluations? No, they cannot, not based on your beliefs, okay? I would always caution, keep your job and your spiritual or personal lives separate. Don't bring your personal beliefs into your workplace, regardless of what it is. When you do that, you're just opening yourself up for possible disciplinary action, for conflict of interest. You're there to work for them and do their job. You're not there to promote yourself. Always make sure you keep yourself separated from who is let's go back here again, who you're working with. If a coworker finds out what you do and they're fascinated by it and they want, can you tell me about this? You do card readings or you do this type, any type of spiritual work. I want to find out more about this. Say, fine, I'd love to. After school, after work, after when we get off, maybe if you go out of the building on break, keep it out of the workplace. Don't even give out your business cards unless you have permission from your manager, your employer, supervisor to do so. And if somebody does ask you for a business card and you hand it to them and say, contact me after work, outside of work hours, don't let them, trap you into or, coax you into proselytizing or, talking about your beliefs in the workplace. It just makes sense. It keeps life so much easier. Unless you are the owner of the company. And then again, you really have to be careful, because if you start, spouting your personal beliefs to the employees, and that's not part of the charter or, vision statement, of the business itself, you could get in trouble as well. So keep them separate. As much as you physically can, keep them separate. It'll just make life easier. Outside of the workplace, absolutely get together all you want. And now comes the big one. How do we reconcile our abilities with mainstream religion, especially in Western societies? This is a biggie. It's a tough one. Religions and churches and what have you are in the news every single day, for one reason or another, one topic or another. One thing we need to keep in mind and to realize what religion actually is. Okay, religion is not your belief or your faith. Okay, faith is your absolute belief, your conviction. Religion is an organization. Religion is a structure. That is where a group of people with a shared belief system get together and create a structure, an organization, and then they give it a name, and that's called a religion. Okay. There are currently over 4,000 different religious communities, denominations, sects, divisions, variations. There are 12 major religions in the world, but here again, all of those have different factions and fractions and denominations within them, and there are many, many more organized religions besides just the big 12. Okay, and I have notes. Okay, there we go. There it is. Okay. The 12 major religions, denominations, wait a minute. I went one too far. No, I don't have those all written down. I thought I did. I'm sorry. But anyway, of course, you have Buddhism, Baha'i, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Shinto, Zoroastrianism. There are so many different groups. I love the bumper sticker, the coexist, if you've seen that takes these symbols and puts them together into the word coexist. These primary religions actually represent or account for 83% of the world population. And yeah, I hate to break it to some people, but Christianity is not number one among the 12 religions. And I think Islam actually has more followers than Christianity. Buddhism, Hindu, Shinto, very, very large numbers of huge populations. So we're not the one and only. okay, regardless of what our beliefs are. Okay, but it's very important. As a quote that I really enjoy: no matter how we go about seeking the ultimate truth, no matter how many followers ascribe to our belief system, in the end, we will all discover the same truth. No rationalizing, no arguing, no wars will ever change the truth. What the truth is what we hold it to be. We have our own beliefs and truths. Okay? What I believe, the way I practice, the way I perceive the universe, definitely not the same as a lot of other people. I'm not going to tell them they're wrong. I'm just going to say, hey, here's another possibility. Look at, this is what I do. And open it up for discussion. One of the big things, one of the great things about religions, religious organizations, is that they do pretty much across the board open up discussion and questions. They get people to start thinking in most cases. Now, if it's a cult, quote unquote, they may, in those types of situations, they tend to force compliance. Okay. But in most religions, they get you to start thinking. They want you to follow their beliefs. They want you to, stay with their book, whichever it happens to be, the Vedas or the Bible or the Quran or whatever book you follow. But it's a starting point. It's not the end point. I can almost guarantee, that the vast majority of religious leaders have never consciously, during this lifetime, been to the other side and back. A few have, I'm sure. Mind out of body, near-death experiences, shared death experiences. There's a lot of, deep meditation, okay, transcendental meditation. There are ways to traverse and find out more about the truth, if you will, and what is on the other side. One of the most important things about any religion is that it builds a community. It gets people together. It gives them something to hold on to, something to share, something to bond them together, to give strength in numbers, unity, and at the same time, they will identify within the group their value system of what's good, what's evil. Typically, and this goes back to early tribal cultures, okay? If it was good for the tribe, if it benefited the tribe, if it brought abundance, if it brought health, if it brought prosperity, we'll call that good. If it wipes out the crops, if it causes illness throughout the community, we'll call that evil. And we'll give that a face. We'll give it a personification so that all of our followers, all our members of the tribe can relate to it. We'll call the good stuff God. We'll call the bad stuff evil or the devil. And that way we can keep them separated and set a balance within our community. One thing I found in studying a lot of the world religions, I started out when I was in Catholic school as a kid. I began asking questions, as a lot of young, adolescents will. What's the difference between our church and the one, 4 blocks from here? Why are we different? What are the differences? And I wasn't getting, I was getting the questions, but I wasn't getting the answers I was looking for from the church community. So as I got a little older, I decided to head out and find out on my own, do my own research and digging. And what was fascinating, what really I found very intriguing and fascinating was that it wasn't the differences that became important, it was the similarities. When you strip away the ceremonies and the words and the verses and the uh, hierarchies and the names of the deities and what have you, when you start peeling away those layers, you find out that fundamentally every religion, every faith system on earth is exactly the same. They all have a good and a bad. They have a positive and a negative. They say, this we like, this we don't like. If you follow our beliefs, you're blessed. If you don't follow our beliefs, if you believe something else, then you are a heretic, you're a pagan, you're an evil person, you're, whatever you want to call it. And our church will cast you out and, push you away. Okay. What we do as intuitives, you think that, well, in most Western religions, especially Christianity and Islam and Judaism, the three Abrahamic beliefs, okay, that talking to dead people is a bad thing. I've heard that many times. I've had people say, well, I'll pray for you. You're going straight to hell. I said, well, okay, if I believed in hell, that would probably be it might irritate me, but otherwise, not really. Knowing that the actual idea of hell, the descriptions and what have you, didn't come from the Bible. They came from Dante's Inferno, Dante Alighieri, and the Divine Comedy. And that was picked up by the churches, and they said, "Oh, I like what you've written. I like the way you described it. We're going to use that and go on with it." Actually, when it comes to people being sensitive and seeing and feeling and picking up, the Christian Bible has 56 named prophets, not just the few that you're familiar with, Elijah, Ezekiel, and 56 named prophets. That breaks down, I actually have numbers here, 48 male, 7 female, and 1 Gentile slipped in there, okay? Wasn't even a Christian, wasn't Jewish, wasn't, a follower, a believer, okay? If you go to the Hebrew Bible, the original text before Christianity, they have 17 more in addition to that, okay? So we're talking, a large number of named prophets and many, many more who were just not named at all. We hear in the tales about the false prophets. Beware of false prophets in the desert. Okay? Well, as it turned out, prophets were revered as long as they told the king or the elders what they wanted to hear. If they told them everything's going to be great, you're going to go out and you're going to win the battle and conquer the other nations, et cetera, great. These are wonderful prophets. If they told them, you're going to get your butt handed to you in a basket, they didn't want to hear that. And that they were then labeled as a false prophet. Don't tell me what I don't want to hear. Okay. But the idea of getting messages from the angels, the archangels, from God himself or herself, right? whole idea of God having gender. One of my favorite statements is that in the beginning, God created man in his own image and likeness, and man has been trying to repay the favor ever since. We're going to create this old man with a long white beard and a big book sitting on a throne, writing down every time somebody's good. Oh, wait a minute, that's Santa Claus. Yes, no. God, yeah, whether you call your deity God or Allah or Vishnu or Yahweh or whoever you look at, the great spirit, the great creator, okay, it's the same thing. I have a glass of water here. If I called this glass a Glyphosate, okay, I'm just giving it a new name, I'm calling it a Glyphosate, okay, I haven't changed the structure of it. I haven't changed the purpose of it. I haven't changed anything about it except the name. Same thing with God, the universe, source, whatever you want to call it. It is that universal, that great energy that binds us all together. Okay, so and to think that, to assume that after the text, after the book was written, that God stopped and walked away and said, okay, I'm done, that's it. No more prophets, no more seers, no more anything, because that wouldn't be from me, that'd be from somebody else. That they've got to be evil if it's not me. That's a very human, arrogant assumption. Okay. People are receiving messages, people are receiving images, people are receiving intuitive guidance all the time. It hasn't stopped, it won't stop. It continues. As long as we are spiritual, energetic beings, we will continue on in that respect, okay? So, gotta go the other way. There we go. Again, religions, they help to establish and maintain social order within a tribe or society. They serve a purpose. I will never, okay, never diminish, talk down, cast aspersions upon any other faith or belief. I may not share that belief, but I'm not going to condemn anybody for having it, okay? Now, as for what we do, as I said, sometimes we find it difficult to speak to other people, to find our tribe. Where is our group? Who are the people that we can associate with and share our experiences, discuss our techniques, and have the people we speak with, that we talk to, understand us and appreciate who we are and what we do, and understand and know that, as I've said before, there are hundreds of different innate intuitive abilities that we possess that we don't exercise anywhere near that number. But different people will exhibit different abilities. What can we learn from each other? How can we share all of this understanding with each other and learn as we go? That's where the inner circle comes in. That is the whole idea of this group that I'm putting together. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 5, Bhagavad Gita, uplift yourself by yourself and don't let yourself bring yourself down. For yourself is yourself's only friend, and yourself is yourself's only enemy. Very interesting. Notice in this verse that they use self with capital S and self with a small s. The capital S self is our spiritual self. That is our soul. That is our inner being, our energy, our connection with source, with the universe, with God. Okay. Small self, that's our ego. That's our human desires and needs and the physical part of us. Okay. So don't let yourself bring yourself down. Very, very important. Okay. I'm going to open up now for some question and answers. If you want to share anything, if you had observations, comments, questions, go ahead and post those in the chat room now, if you will, and we'll go ahead and see if we can address any of those. So go ahead and open that to the group in the chat and see if we have anything. Seeing a lot of hays and hellos and Betsy's over here waving and everybody. All right. Well, as questions come up, write them down. Keep a journal. Keep a log of not just your revelations and observations, but of your questions, of the things that you're not settled with yet, that you really would like to find out more about, because those are the kinds of things, those are the questions, those are the concerns. You're not alone. I'll tell you this right now. Not a single one of you out there today are alone in your search and your journey. We all are searching for something in some way, shape, or form, some more actively than others. I want you to realize that you do have community. You do have your tribe. You do have a place where you can share those concerns. As I mentioned in yesterday's video presentation, my second book of the series, The Gathering, identified over 200 different methods and modalities and practices in healing and divination and mediumship, all of that. And again, to realize if there's a name for it, you're not the first or only to have experienced it. And there are others, and there will be more within our group, who will share those concerns, share those ideas. They found out something that we didn't know. Absolutely share it with everybody, and have a way, a means, a place where we can discuss and share freely. Okay. And again, remember, anytime you're getting into any of your practices, start by setting your intentions, make them known. Tomorrow's video, we're going to talk directly about getting into connections and setting intentions and how do we actually safely and efficiently and productively start to practice the abilities that we all have. Again, starts with your intentions, always. And always the intention should be for the greatest good of everyone involved, this side, the other side, and everywhere in between. Okay. Always recognize your guides, whether you call them guides, guardians, guardian angels, archangels, ancestor spirits. They're with you all the time. They're there. Say thanks every once in a while. Just say, hey, I really appreciate it. When they steer you in a direction, help nudge you along to avoid obstacles, to head for more abundance, manifestation. Always, always, always say thanks for the assist. Okay. So next time on Gathering Inner Circle, tomorrow's presentation, okay, more and more people are beginning to become aware of their abilities, just like yourselves. They hadn't realized they had them before. They pass it off as coincidence or lucky guesses. But what if you could control these abilities and use them whenever you want? I'm going to move a little so you can see the whole screen. Sorry. Okay. I will see you tomorrow night. And we'll find out more about the things you're experiencing in the inner circle. Thank you and good night.